I'd like to call to order the Shakopee School Board regular business meeting for February 24, 2025. Tiffany, can you please do the roll?
Siddick.
Here.
Valdez.
Here.
Peterson.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Aldrich.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Brophy.
Here.
Michelle.
Here.
And Shania.
Here.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. Our favorite portion of the meeting we're leading off with is Say the Bride. Item 3.1 is of winter activities and spring preview, and here to present is Andy Brown, our activities director. Andy.
All right, thanks for having me. You can tell how much I have to say by the fact that I had to bring my own water. I knew I wouldn't make it through today without replenishing. So this is kind of prime time. I would say that right now is when things really heat up for me, but also in the athletic office right now between hockey maybe going to state, wrestling going to state, basketball coming to an end. The next 4 weeks or so in our office are just really nonstop. So kind of an exciting time for us. So recapping a couple things. First, near and dear to my own heart, our knowledgeable and Quiz Bowl team has had some incredible success this year, and so there's two different formats. I could talk for about an hour telling you the difference and why they're both equally cool, but Quiz Bowl is a more head-to-head matchup oriented one, and our team tied for 9th in state, and that was good enough to get us a bid to nationals. So I'm working with these guys that you can see here to perhaps go to Atlanta Memorial Weekend and go up against the brightest minds in the country. So and then the same makeup of the team, these same guys are also the top Knowledge Bowl team, and so they qualified for a sub-regional tournament by finishing 13th out of like 100 teams or 78 teams or something. Then they took 5th place in that tournament, so we're on to regionals tomorrow in North St. Paul, Dr. Redmond's old stomping grounds, right? And so we're going to compete there and see if we can make it to state. Typically the top 5 teams, or there are 5 teams out of the region from the metro, and they go. And then they usually are 5 of the top 10 teams in the state. So it's a tall order, but we're hoping for some magic tomorrow. And I have to shout out that one of these kids, Noah Brown, he's a tenant at my house. He finished 5th in the conference tournament, and then at a tournament we were at on Saturday, took 10th out of 170 in some of the matches that are individually scored. So it's been a fun thing to share with him this season. So that's Knowledge Bowl and Quiz Bowl. Debate has a fall season, and they weren't quite done last time we talked. So we had 17 students participate in congressional debate, which is kind of a new format that they tackled this year, and it definitely drummed up a bit more interest. So for the first time, we had some students competing in debate sections. The kids that we had doing debate in the past didn't quite feel qualified or weren't ready to do that sectional competition, but we had some do that. And so both of them that competed, Trion and Aditya, both made the semifinals of sections. Rohan Vakati also took 1st place at an in-season tournament. So pretty good success for really being kind of a brand new thing. And then a couple students tried out, went to a few tournaments in the public forum, which is a different style there. So debate is growing. It helps that our speech coach is taking it over. He hopes that eventually somebody more interested in debate is going, but he's kind of recruiting off his team. Obviously the two things work really well together. So there's debate. Moving on. We went to the section 2AA, AAA banquet, and Colin Wilkinson was named the winner out of I think 13 schools AAA winners. So he will go to banquet, has just 8 others from Class AA. One of them will win the state AAA award. I got to feel like his resume stacks up pretty well with anyone. So Matt will be at a banquet on March 22nd, and then if he wins, he'll be on TV at halftime of a state basketball game the same day. So I think his name will pop up at least. They'll put them all up there on the broadcast. He looks fine there, but Colin's main comment was, "I would have dressed up better if I knew I was going to win." I didn't say that afterwards. So, his parents were out of town, so he wasn't held to the dress code, I think. Culinary team, which you may remember hearing about last year, that in its kind of first year in existence decided to just win the state and go to nationals and do well, and then they're as you can see the pun up there, they're really cooking again, and so they've got some cool things. Chef Andrew Zimmern came to visit them. They did this great event at the Four Seasons in Minneapolis, and right now they are planning, they get to do kind of a kitchen takeover, a little pop-up restaurant thing at this place in Bloomington called Perk Up Kitchen. Oh yeah, it's actually on there. So they're doing this thing, so it's gonna be like a fixed menu, and they'll run basically a whole night of service. I think Heather told me today it's 58 tables over the course of the evening, so kind of time slots, and so you reserve, and so they will get a full-blown restaurant experience, fundraiser kind of thing there. So continue to be impressed by the stuff that the culinary team is doing. Yep. So there's them. DECA, as always, huge numbers at the DECA competition, qualified 76 to go, not this coming weekend, but the following weekend to the state conference. Some of them will undoubtedly qualify for the international conference there. So can't put all the names up or invite them all here, but you'll hear again who qualifies out of state. So DECA doing great. Gotta take water. Our Asian Student Union is just a group that I want to highlight because that's still a relatively new group. Jean Marie Garay is their advisor. She's an ML teacher, and they've been kind of finding their place and doing some cool things. So this year they did a big Lunar New Year celebration, and they're just kind of continuing to build. So it's kind of a cool thing. And about 60, 70 people come in and did some eating and some events and some dancing and some things like that. So that's just a group that is, didn't exist 3 years ago and is doing some cool things now. So want to pull something out there. Youth and government, largest delegation in the state as usual. 123 students. We had, there are all sorts of roles that you can sort of run for, or some that you get appointed for. So our big name was Avery Young was the Chief Justice of the Court of Appeals in there. But a lot of kids get to have their bills read and voted on, and it continues to be a really excellent event. They work all fall and then get to go do this for a weekend in January. Mock Trial just wrapped up their season. It's their first year competing at a varsity level. We used to have Ann Browning-Zerby has been the coach for kind of a while. She used to teach at the middle school and basically only ever had middle schoolers competing at the high school level. And since she's been at the high school and taken over now, the numbers are growing there as well. So they had enough kids and enough confidence to run some tournaments at the varsity level and have done pretty well. It's 22nd out of 34 teams in the in kind of the postseason tournaments that they have. I think they were 3-1 in that matchup or something like that. So they're doing really well also. So then previewing some things that are coming up, our speech team has 8 returning state entrants, a number of students who have already won tournaments at some point. I asked the coach the other day about this. He said, Shema is winning everything. You can see Shema in the middle there. She's a very real contender for a state championship in her category. We're hosting our home state tournament this Saturday, and I would highly recommend if you want to see kids at their best. This is such a cool thing to go to, and the events can be so interesting. There's some who do storytelling, there's comedy, there's really serious persuasive stuff, there's some duos, there's the extemporaneous speaking will make everybody feel dumb if you watch what these kids can do. So you can show up and kind of get a schedule, and just about anybody there can direct you to see some of our kids. And then the ones that go to state, you can just go down the street, and we're hosting the state competition again in April, and another chance to see our kids who have made it to the highest level competing at that level. So yeah, speech is just continuing to buzz. Lead Culture Fest coming up. Is this not next week already, still 2 weeks away. March 14th, that's a Friday. You've probably heard me say it before. I think this is just about the best event that we do. The coolest thing that happens in our district, brings together all these different performers and food, and kind of just a huge cross section of you kind of get this in miniature what our student body looks like and what the cultures of our students at home look like. And I just think it's a really powerful thing for anyone to go to and get a sense of like, yeah, this is kind of what's happening in Shakopee and the diversity and the cultures that we have here. So always recommend that, and emphasis on that word free. You get to watch cool performances and eat some food, and fantastic. We've got theater. Our one-act play just wrapped up. We had Medea was our competition piece, and then coming up, those dates are actually slightly off. We had to switch over to avoid Culture Fest. So we have March 15th and 16th is our little one-act festival. So we have 3 student-directed one-act plays, and so at the same time that they cast the competition piece, our student directors watch their classmates audition and they cast their plays, and now they'll go and we'll perform all of those as well. More theater, the middle school musical is coming up. That's Anastasia, and so that is next weekend. 4 performances there over at West. And then our spring play will be in May. That's Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, and we are the sort of second wave of schools to get those right, so we'll be only the second school in the state to have performed this. We found ourselves a new set designer and set builder with some pretty fancy credits, and the set I ordered lumber today, and so that is getting going, and I think our hope is that visually this is going to be one of the best things we've ever put on our stage. So we're optimistic, hoping we can sell it out. We don't normally get a lot of people to show up at the spring plays. We feel like Harry Potter might do it for us. So that's the hope. The lady I talked to at Home Depot today said she wants to go. So plus one there. Band and choir just 2 weekends ago had all of the all-state performances. So all of the all-state choir and band and orchestra names that you have seen all performed at Orchestra Hall in a series of concerts that those who were there told me it was fantastic. And then because we were in all-state jazz, you can see that picture is Parker DeShaw, drummer who was here last time I was here, and he played at the Dakota Jazz Club. That was on February 14th, so the lovely Mrs. Brown and I had Valentine's Day to the Dakota Jazz Club, not on the company dime, and got to watch him play with Wycliffe Gordon, who's like a legendary trombonist, and it was really, really something. All these kids from different schools, and Parker just keeping the beat for him, and all of that sort of thing. So it was really, really fantastic. So there's that, and then in addition, we still have the honor band and all sorts of things, and I know the Concordia band featured Andrew Coker, who followed in his brother's footsteps as a featured soloist for that, so we have all sorts of great band things going on. So they have a concert scheduled for next Thursday, March 5th, which may be, knock on wood, is going to coincide with state hockey, so that's something we're going to have to figure out how we can make all those things work, because you can't have state hockey without that band, so we're trying to sort that one out exactly. So we got that, and then I could just keep going on forever with all sorts of things. Robotics had their last sort of like tune-up tournament, and they head off on spring, very beginning of spring break is their big tournament, their regional thing to see if they qualify for state. Our educators group qualified a number of students for the state conference, so they're starting to work on that. HOSA is headed to St. Cloud right at the beginning of spring break for their state conference to see who can qualify for nationals, and it just kind of keeps going on and on and on. So more and more things just keep happening. We have the newest couple of things going on is there's kind of a fledgling music recording group that's kind of using some of the space in the studio and some of the recording equipment that we have, just trying to see if they can record some songs, getting some people together with some different skills. And so that just kind of kicked off. And there's a group called the Unwritten Narrative that is trying to find some ways to boost what other groups and organizations and things in the community are doing through kind of some different storytelling and social media stuff. So there's a couple new things popping up. Yeah, just all sorts of things happening all the time. So that is the end of it. So yeah, that only really scratches the surface. I think I got through like 12 or 13 things. I think everybody's deserving of their own 5 minutes, but that's kind of the biggest stuff that's happening recently. So thanks for your time. Thanks for listening.
Next on our agenda is item 3.2, the 2025 SEAF grants And here to present is Julie Maynard Johnson and April Deutsch, SEEF board members, and Justine Vogel, our guest speaker. Smith with the,
The Shakopee Educational Endowment Foundation, or SEEF as it is commonly called, was established in 1991. We are a nonprofit organization separate from the school district that awards grants across all schools and curriculum areas. Our grant program supports valuable educational experiences and innovative projects in Shakopee schools, enabling educators to test new ideas, attempt creative programming, or incorporate new technology that otherwise would not receive funding. Since 1991, SEEF has awarded 603 grants totaling nearly $520,000. Donor contributions allow us to fund grant proposals that provide equal educational opportunities for Shakopee students. We rely on support from area businesses, service organizations, community members, school district staff, and alumni. We recognize gifts of $1,000 or more on the donor plaque in the lobby of Shakopee High School and on our website. A volunteer board, some of the members are here. We also have Christy is what we call an ex-officio member. We don't know what else to call you. Building head, Shania has joined us as well to help us. And we're always looking for interested community members to join us. So if you have any ideas of anyone who would be interested in joining us, we would very much love that. Each year we award grants up to $2,500 based on evaluation criteria spelled out for applicants. For 24-25 school year, we awarded 20 grants totaling more than $27,000. The list includes grants for adapted materials for culinary classes, meeting the sensory needs of special education students, and building thinking classrooms and math diets. So the summary booklet that I think most of you have has some more detailed information about that. So Justine is here to talk about the grant that she was awarded this year.
Hi, Chair Smith, members of the board, and Dr. Redmond. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share a little bit about the SEEF grant that my program was awarded. So just a little bit about the grant. I called it Indigenous Education for All, the Cultural Significance of Long Hair. And what my purpose for this grant was not only to give autonomy and some positive reinforcement of Native students, but also to have the chance to talk to staff as well about the culturally significant reason why we have our hair long. So this grant provided 2 books, My Powerful Hair and Thunder's Hair, and both of those books are written and illustrated by Native authors and illustrators. Native American long hair really carries deep significance and often symbolizes like strength, identity, and our connection to our ancestors. So for many communities, long hair is seen as a physical manifestation of pride and heritage. So each kindergarten classroom and Stepping Stones preschool classroom each got a copy of those books to use. For me, this grant was important because including books in the classroom that reflect Native American experiences and traditions, such as the importance of long hair, can really create a more positive environment for Native students. It validates their identity, it fosters a sense of belonging, and helps bridge understanding between Native students and non-Native students. And it promotes a respect for different traditions and different experiences. So not only do all the classrooms get to have this book, I had really good conversations with kindergarten staff around the district as well. So I'll leave you with this quick little excerpt from one of the books. Our ancestors say our hair is our memories, our source of strength and power, a celebration of our lives. So thank you, SEEF, for your grant, and I'm so excited to see all the lives that it touches.
So yeah, I guess the last thing is just presenting the check for the grants for this year.
Oh, that's not fair.
It's okay, just because if we're gonna stand in front of it.
Sorry, just stand in front of you.
What are you doing? Come on in.
Nice try.
Perfect, thank you. So where can people go to donate?
You can go to the website, you can, and there's also a place there to mail checks if you'd like to as well. We have people who'd like to vote, so.
No?
Both of those are options.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is item 3.3, Public Schools Week, and Christy Peterson will present.
Yeah, so this February 24th through 28th we are celebrating Public Schools Week. It's an opportunity to recognize the incredible impact Shakopee Public Schools has and reflects on how public education shapes our communities and future. I think I've said before that when a community has a strong public school system, the entire community thrives. And nowhere is this more evident than in Shakopee. I just see that clear as a bell. Public schools are more than classrooms and buildings. They bring together children from all walks of life to learn, grow, and dream. It's where students develop the skills, resilience, and relationships needed to tackle tomorrow's challenges. Whether they aspire to be scientists, artists, or entrepreneurs, these dreams take shape in our classrooms and throughout the state of Minnesota. By investing in our public schools, we're not just supporting individual students, we're shaping the future of our communities, our state, and our world. To reinforce this commitment, the Minnesota School Board Association has launched One Voice, a statewide advocacy initiative highlighting the importance of public education and the crucial role of school board members in shaping our school's future. This is where the power of one truly matters. As individuals, school board members are among the most effective advocates, listening, asking thoughtful questions, and making decisions in the best interest of our students' future. But together, as a Shakopee School Board, we amplify that impact, creating a unified voice that drives a meaningful progress. Across Minnesota, school board members form a dynamic network of advocacy, collaboration, and leadership, always keeping our students' futures at the heart of every decision. As school board members, we are not just a collection of individuals. We are a powerful force for change, united by a shared mission. When we stand together, we strengthen our school boards, our communities, and ultimately the future of Minnesota. However, we must acknowledge the unprecedented times that public education faces, from funding gaps and teacher shortages to the lasting effects of the pandemic. Schools are being asked to do more with less, ensuring every student feels safe, valued, and supported. These challenges are real, but so is our collective ability to overcome them. Let's use Public Schools Week as a call to action. Let's continue advocating for policies that strengthen our schools, support our educators, and uplift every student. When we invest in our public education, we invest in a brighter, stronger future for all. Okay, Tiffany, were you going to play the video?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's time.
Time to come together.
Time to stand up. Time to speak up.
Together, we can become one voice. One voice. One voice.
Our one voice can become the unifying voice for public education.
We know it can be a challenge to see the connection from the boardroom to the classroom.
Please know that by being a school board member, you make the world a better place. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for helping me too.
Build for my future.
Get ready for my career.
Prepare to serve my country. To succeed on the court.
In the science lesson.
And on the stage. You are a role model for kids like me.
We need your voice to help strengthen our voice.
Being a school board member can be a thankless job. But I see you. We see you making hard decisions on our behalf. Having to make tough budget decisions.
Being questioned by community members. Getting questioned on social media.
And defending our schools against bad information. Thank you for standing up for us. We need your support because our state's future is at stake.
We need your support because people need to know that great things are taking place in public schools in Minnesota.
My future is at stake.
We need your voice to help strengthen our voice. There's more that unites us than divides us, so let's come together.
In cities big and small.
Rural communities.
And big school districts. And in small.
No matter where you serve across the state of Minnesota.
You want what's best for future generations.
You want what's best for us. If not you, then who?
Our one voice can become the unifying voice for public education.
Be one voice.
Be one voice.
Be one voice.
Be one voice.
Thank you, Chrissy. Next on our agenda is item 4, the consideration of the agenda is presented.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Brophy and a second by Aldridge. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next on our agenda is item 5, public comment. This is the time when members of the public can participate in the meeting without being part of the meeting agenda. A member of the public may address the board on an agenda topic or on another topic. We allocate a total of 15 minutes for public comment at this meeting. Each individual speaker may speak for up to 2.5 minutes. The sign up for public comment has been conducted online and in person prior to this evening's meeting. No one has signed up for public comment prior to this evening's meeting. We will move on to the next item on the agenda. Next on our agenda is item 6, the consent items. You can see we have some personnel items, school board meeting minutes, bills and authorizations, wires, Quiz Bowl field trip request, and master lease agreement with Apple.
Motion to approve. Second.
The motion by Peterson, the second by Valdez. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So on the lease renewal with Apple, and I think we had some conversations about that. Is that just part of our normal business? Was that part of the protect levy? Or those mutually exclusive?
Both those things together, I would say
Okay.
normal business and part of the tech levy.
Perfect.
And it's a continuation of, you've seen Brian Droz give the very in-depth plan. This is just carrying that plan out.
Just wanted to call out, technology is a good thing. I have students, I just wanted to give credit where it was due. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next on our agenda is item 7. This is donations approval. Normally a consent agenda item, but this requires a resolution, so we need a voice vote on that. Well, and first I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
I'll second. The motion by Peterson and second by Aldridge. Any discussion? Seeing none, Tiffany, could you please do the roll?
Zedek,
Yes.
Valdez,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Aldridge,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Brophy.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Next on our agenda is item 8.1, Native American Education Update. And here with us again is Justine Vogel, the Native American Education Coordinator. And could you please introduce your guest for us?
Yes. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Christina Zander, I'm the current Native American Parent Advisory Committee Chair and a parent of 4 kids in the district.
Thank you again for having me. I promise I won't make this too long for you. So this is an American Indian education update on where we are in the school year and what we have to look forward to. So this school year, we have been empowering teachers to further incorporate Native culture. I touched on it a little bit with the SEED grant. So the professional learning community meetings with the kindergarten teachers, I met with each school, and then I also met with the Stepping Stones teachers. And we kind of talked through what that could look like in their classroom, how they can use the books, gave them further ideas. We've also had multi-tiered systems of support academy meetings, where we talked a little bit about the history of Native students and schools in Minnesota specifically, and then we worked through that on how we could better support students in our classrooms. Our Canvas course is getting updated currently so that teachers can do the Canvas course and get credit for that. And then this year, the Minnesota Indian Education Association Conference is held at Mystic. And so we have 17 staff as part of the Learning, Teaching, and Equity Department going to this conference. And then we also plan to invite a keynote speaker to the Equity Summit that's hosted by Shakopee Schools this year. So there's a lot of different things happening to help support teachers in our district. Our Native American Parent Advisory Council, formerly we had noted it as the American Indian Parent Advisory Committee, but our parents would like to be referred to Native American Parent Advisory Committee. So this year we tried a new cycle schedule where we had one meeting a month that was just for our Indian Ed programming, and then we had a second meeting every month that was optional for our parents. And those optional meetings were more to collaborate with district initiatives. So we had a PLC work meeting with science teachers at the middle and high school level. We had a work meeting with the community education team on how we can collaborate and have some community ed involvement. We've had meetings with the assistant directors of Learning, Teaching, and Equity, and just kind of moving forward with a Dakota language class at the high school. And then we've also had meetings with the principal and academy principals from Shakopee High School, and just kind of talking about how we can further support our Native students. So who are our Native students? This is an updated picture of some of the students at the high school. At Eagle Creek, we have 26. At Red Oak, we have 16. Sunpath, 17. Sweeney, 21. And Jackson, 21. That is pretty well in line to what we saw last year as well. TLC, we have 6. West, we have 21. East, we have 38. That went up significantly this year, and I think it's because we had a big 5th grade class from Eagle Creek move up. In the high school, we have 75 students. Currently today, we have a total of 241 Native students in our district, with 28 tribal nations represented. So if you remember last year a little bit, I talked about how there's 11 tribal nations in Minnesota. So we have a significant number of tribal nations represented in our schools. So these goals are initiated by a strategic plan that I worked with in conjunction with our Learning, Teaching, and Equity directors. So in addition to my Indian Ed goals of post-secondary prep, academic support, intercultural awareness, positive reinforcement of self-image, and relevant curriculum, we're working together to continuously increase attendance and passing rates of each and every student. And so what I did here when we were trying to decide what strategic plan we wanted to go with was we took our Shakopee goals and I just kind of subbed in American Indian student so that we could really focus on the goals for our program and our students at the time of making the strategic plan. So last year we had discussed with the board on some recommendations, and one of them was a course proposal for the Dakota language class. So just kind of an update on this. Spring of 2025, we are going to meet again with the Learning, Teaching, and Equity directors, create a course description, in conjunction with our parent committee. So that'll be all together and making sure that we're getting out of the class what we would like. Fall 2025, we would like to present to the school board for the course proposal. If approved, we're looking at January and February of 2026 to recruit students through that registration process. And then the winter, spring of 2026, hire and train a teacher. And then fall of 2026, course begins for the 26-27 school year. So that's kind of our plan moving forward. We also discussed having a designated space at the high school to kind of house our artifacts, supplies, our books. It's kind of hard to run an entire district program out of an office. So we've identified some potential spaces and are working together with admin at the high school to make that happen for this fall. For Indian education, our post-secondary preparation goal, we have a couple of college visits coming up. We're going to Augsburg on April 10th of 2025. And then I'm taking a group of students to Red Lake Tribal College, March 13th. And so Red Lake Tribal College is special because it's the only tribal college in the metro area. So they have a cohort in Minneapolis, which is very cool. And then I just want to highlight too the Academy Championship partnership with the Shakopee Metawakanton community as well. So getting to our Native students, this is a student group. We were talking about, at the elementary school, we were talking about constellations and some of the stories and history behind Native American constellations. And our elementary groups, we meet about once per month. And then I also added field trips to their schedule this year. Our goal was to have 65 students. Last year we had 64. This year we're at 50 students. So we've seen a little bit of a dip, but again, that 5th grade class was so big moving to East that I was kind of expecting that. We did hire a .4 assistant to help me, so this is part of her job is to kind of get recruitment of families and students as well. This is our middle school Native groups, and so for this group, we were working on some beadwork, bracelets, and or dream catchers that they were interested in working on, so hands-on experience with those teachings. And so this year, our goal for attendance at the middle school was 85%. At West, we're at 90, and at East, we're at 92. And that's up from around 80 at both schools last year. And here is a picture of some of our high school students. Our high school Native group, our current attendance is about 60%, and our goal is 65%. What I'm noticing with the high school group is we do have quite a few that are online or PSEO, and so I'm missing a core group of students for a core group of senior students this year that came more consistently last year. We also have my assistant working with the incoming 9th graders to just kind of give them more direction on what groups look like at the high school compared to middle school. Here's our highlight of our November Native Pride event. This year we joined in with Jordan, Belle Plaine, and TCU's and the Indian education teams. In the past we've done it by ourselves, but we have space in our main gym to invite other Indian ed programs, so this year we got to do that. We had over 100 Native students and families in attendance, and then the 5th grade, all of 5th graders in the district in attendance as well. Some of the outside curriculum and supports that we're doing right now is we had ribbon skirts sewing. So we had 2 sessions back in, what was that, November? Probably November, where we had someone come in and teach us how to make ribbon skirts and the teaching behind it. It was so popular that we're gonna hold 2 more in the spring. We have drum and dance sessions, and those drum and dance sessions are in collaboration with some other South of the River districts. So like Burnsville, Prior Lake, Lakeville, Apple Valley. And so we all come together in a central location so that we can have more instructors. And then we also have our own drum group sessions where we have a consultant come in and work after school with Native students. Last year, our smudging space was built outside of the high school. I'm so happy to report that it's used almost daily, and it's continuing to make an impact on all of our students, not just our Native students, but other students. These were two of the projects that came out of the smudge space this year. So one group of students made a logo, and so they got to work with their teacher and consult Native group and make this logo. So Azigati means smudging space in Dakota. And then we smudge here. I like that they included a little saber on the bottom. And then this graphic on the other side, we hope to print and have up outside the smudge space as more of an informational piece for people who don't know what it is. So it's explaining the space, that it's for Indigenous students and staff to practice, and then the different medicines that we would use to smudge. So here are some student voice, some messages from Shakopee High School students on the impact and importance of our programming. I like to highlight that they get to connect with other Native students. A lot of them don't make those connections on their own because our high school is a little bit big, but to be in a group and be like, oh, you're Native too, and oh, my family is from here, and make those connections and family connections is really, really fun to see. They get to express their culture and learn more, and I think the biggest thing that I've seen is providing a sense of belonging and the idea that they all belong at Shakopee High School. So the 2025 MSBA Student Excellence Showcase. This also was highlighted, our smudge space at this event. It was the second year that the district was selected, and we had 3 academies of Shakopee student ambassadors there. On the same day, a traditional lacrosse game was held at Shakopee High School. And so that's the reason some of our Native students didn't go as well. But you can see we highlighted our smudge space and all the different things that have come out of it with different student groups as well.
Javier did a great job of standing in for he had a whole speech prepared and it was
That's
good.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, what a break. And then just some quick upcoming events. Like I said, I added elementary school students to our field trip list. So kindergarten, first and second grade classes are going to a multicultural education class at the high school. And so they're gonna have little groups and teach groups of those younger kids and get that real life teaching experience. Our third and fourth graders went to Jordan High School and had a storytelling event and a drum group event. So they really liked meeting other Native students from other schools. Our fifth graders are gonna go back to Hochakakati. Our 6th through 8th graders are going to the Badote. Our 9th graders are going to the Landing and Richard T. Anderson. Our sophomores like Riley, our juniors like Ann, and our seniors will go to Big Island. And so from 6th grade on up, we have a historian with us who kind of tells us the history of the Dakota people in those areas. And so really connecting our Native students to the land closest to Shakopee. We also are hosting a career day, an Indigenous career day on Monday, March 17th. And that's for high school students. We'll have a Native judge there, a Native counselor, a Native doctor, a Native chef, a Native artist, and some firefighters from the Minneapolis Fire Department. So those Indigenous community members speak about their schooling, their careers, and what it took for them to get there. And then new this year is Elder Day, and that'll be for the middle school students. And it's similar to Career Day, except for I'm bringing elders in to have cultural teachings for students. They can have crafts, they can have stories. So one of them is doing like a little sewing moccasin craft. Another one is doing like the traditional native lacrosse. And so just different cultural activities for students on that day. And then here are some save the dates. Our 8th annual South of the River Powwow will be on Saturday, May 3rd at Burnsville High School. And that is to celebrate our Native students who have graduated. We honor all the graduates from the South of the River districts that we collaborate with. And they earn a stole that they can wear for graduation. And then our class of 2025 feather ceremony will be Thursday, May 22nd. We're still undecided a little bit on the location. It's still gonna be with SMSC, but we're trying to decide on if we want it at Mystic Event Center or the Lake Event Center. So we're just kind of exploring those spaces and we'll get the details very soon. What questions do you have?
I don't have a question, but I just have a comment of all of the work that you've done since you've joined our school district and working with the American Indian education. I see this presentation and compare it to years past, and it just seems like it's more robust and more, there's more activities and education happening in our district. And so kudos to you for all the work that you've done to bring that into our school district. It's part of our culture. It's part of Shakopee, and it's important that all of our students get exposure to that. So thank you. Sit in the corner 6 more times.
Mentioned in the group that's meeting and the parent group that maybe a member of the school board could participate in those meetings, and those dates available?
Yeah, we would love that. And Christina will talk a little bit about that next when we move on to the, when we move on to the next agenda item.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's a great idea.
My only comment is I wish I could have taken the language class that you guys are competing with. That will be as soon as I graduate in 2026.
I know. I think it would be so cool to have Dakota and Ojibwe language in schools.
100%. And I've gone to a couple of other schools throughout Minnesota. It's been ridiculously absurd the way they teach indigenous culture and indigenous history in the classrooms, and I just felt that experience and coming to Shakopee and going to be more true and like actual authentic teachings of what Native culture is like. It's very exciting. I'm excited for that to come to Shakopee.
I'm excited too.
All right, seeing no more questions, we can move on to the next item. Next item on our agenda is item 9.1, Native American Parents Advisory Council vote of concurrence. And we'll invite Christina to present.
I won't read the whole letter, just highlight some things, but dear members of the school board, we are writing to express appreciation and gratitude for the positive steps the school district has taken toward providing support for Native American students and their families. We are encouraged by the district's ongoing efforts to be more responsive and supportive. Our NAPAC voted concurrent for school year 2024 and 2025. In the spirit of continuing this positive momentum and working together to make even greater strides, we would like to offer the following recommendations for future initiatives. Number 1, federal Indian policy education. Number 2, increased staffing and funding. Like I said, we get 6 more Christines. Number 3, expansion of the native language programs. Number 4, dedicated space for groups at the middle school or schools where we have larger groups of Native students. Lastly, we would like to extend an invitation for a school board member to join us at one of our parent meetings. Having a member of the school board present would be a meaningful opportunity for continued dialogue and collaboration. Thank you again for the positive changes already made and for your commitment to working with the Native American community to support our students. We look forward to continuing to work together and building upon the progress we have already achieved.
I think I heard Nick volunteer.
Yeah, so.
Coming up next week,
I don't know offhand.
How often do you?
March 5th.
March 5th is the next week. Yeah, that is next week. Yeah. Oh, go.
Happy March.
Is it a consistent day of the week or what is it?
It's usually Wednesdays, the first.
4 to 5. Yep. 5. Or 4 to 5. Yeah. 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Yeah.
Is the invitation, or would the invitation be on more than one time or multiple dates, or, you know, various board members if they, you know, somebody wanted to come in March, somebody wanted to come in April?
That doesn't have to be the same person, I think. Whoever would like to attend at that time or has availability at that time.
I don't know, Justine, if you can put out the scout calendar to the board.
Absolutely.
If you connect with Tiffany and I will take it from there.
So we only have like, I don't know, 4 more meetings left this school year, but then we'll have our meeting set for next school year too, right in the fall, so.
And if more than one board member wanted to come to one meeting, that's okay.
Yes.
We just have issues, no more than 3, because otherwise they form a quorum. They can't hang out with each other.
Okay, no more than 3, I'll
Yeah.
go with that rule.
I was gonna say too, I missed my chance on the last agenda topic, but if anybody hasn't gone to the feather ceremony, really should try to go. It's really special. It feels like I felt special getting to be there and watch it. And it's really cool, seeing the students recognize that stuff. And there was food.
There's always food.
So.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, we need to vote.
Oh, yeah,
Thank
forgot
you
that
for the
part.
reminder. So this is an action item, so I would entertain a motion. Second. Motion by Peterson and a second by Brophy. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next on our agenda is an information item, item 10.1, Schoolie Mitchell cost analysis update, and here to present is Bill Manazzi, our Director of Finance. Welcome, Bill.
It's never more apparent that I operate with a computer than when I try to present my screens here. So thanks, Tiffany, for letting me borrow your screen.
Put more stickers on your laptop, that's very obvious.
It's another, yep. I think between an accountant and somebody in
I don't have any stickers.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity to present an update on our Schoolie Mitchell project. So as you may recall, we started with Schoolie Mitchell looking at cost containment opportunities in our non-wage and benefit areas. We started our engagement with them last July, and so I think although we're certainly still in process, we're nowhere near the finish line. We have had some good meetings and some good work with Schoolie Mitchell, and it's a good opportunity to update both the Finance and Facilities Committee, which we did earlier this evening, and the school board as a whole on our process with Schoolie Mitchell. So we will do that. As I mentioned, we started in July. Schoolie Mitchell has reviewed or is reviewing the following categories that you see on the screen: our telecom wireless services, our wireline services, our waste services, and then sort of the general area of facility, office, break room supplies, compressed gases, and uniforms and linens. And there you can see the term of the agreement that we have with Schoolie Mitchell. Recommendations on improvements are subject to our approval as a school district. Actual cost savings realized during that 48-month time period are subject to a 50-50 profit sharing split. So any savings that you'll see within the presentation here are gross savings before the split, as Joe mentioned in our finance and facilities committee meeting. Starting first with telecom wireless services. So I was pleased to hear from Schooley Mitchell when they're sorting through our data that we are very competitively priced on our wireless services. So thank you to our tech team for negotiating some very competitive rates in this area. They were able to present some savings to us, albeit fairly small in the large scheme of things. You'll recall our general fund budget is about $120 million. We're talking about savings here in the $5,000 range. So not significant in terms of our total budget, but every dollar counts. So they presented two options for our consideration. Option A was to switch our mobile phone services from Verizon to T-Mobile and keep our T-Mobile hotspots. The savings there would be about $7,500 per year, again, the gross savings. We decided to go with option B, which is keep our mobile phone services with Verizon and our hotspots with T-Mobile. Excuse me. And renegotiate the rate. The savings there is about $4,400 or $4,300 rounded per year. That's the decision, the choice that we made related to some coverage areas and just some differences between T-Mobile and Verizon. So we're through with our wireless services, and we have moved into our wireline services. We provided documentation to Schooley Mitchell on January 21st. They are in the process of reviewing that information, and they will present a value report to the district upcoming here in a few weeks on March 18th on our wireless services. So we're looking forward to seeing any savings that can be achieved there. Waste services. So we have contracts with Waste Management as a company and also with BIFs to provide those services. We have provided letters of authorization, and Schooley Mitchell is going through the details of the information that we've provided them, and they expect to present the value report in this area the end of March, right before spring break on March 25th. And then lastly, we're just going through the data mining of the large group of facility, office, break room supplies, gases, uniforms, and linens. Once we get Schooley Mitchell the data, they expect it to be about 8 weeks from the time that they can sort through all that stuff, have conversations with vendors, and then turn around and present the value report in that general category. Summary and next steps. So as I mentioned, when we first engaged with Schooley Mitchell, we were one of the first school districts to engage in this service with Schooley Mitchell, and so they are coming to find out that school districts are fairly large organizations with complex data and details for analysis. So they remain confident, and I think there's no reason to not be confident that they can move forward and recommend savings to us. And again, we're not out anything, right? We would have to act on those savings, and once we accept those savings, it's a 50-50 split. They'll continue, and we always monitor invoices for accuracy, competitiveness, and seeking future budget cost containment opportunities. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my finance team. As you can imagine, this is a tremendous undertaking in terms of sorting through invoices and pulling things and sending things back and forth and working through letters of authorization so that we can work with vendors. Specifically, Angie Hillman, our purchasing coordinator, has been great in terms of being go-between with the district and Schooley Mitchell and sorting through that. So thank you to her specifically and to my team in general. And sort of exciting for both Schooley Mitchell and for the district. The Masbo annual conference is coming up in May, and Darren Thiessen, who is our rep from Schooley Mitchell, and I'll have the opportunity to present at the Masbo annual conference for any districts that are interested in engaging in this type of opportunity moving forward. So that's just a very brief update. We're by no means to the finish line, but since it's been a number of months since we've discussed this at the school board level, wanted to provide you with an update on our process.
You go first.
Bill, I just have a quick question. You had the cost savings for the wireless of around $4,300 a year. Is that what our savings is after the sharing of the cost savings, or is that the total we'll save actually 50%?
Correct. If that's the total, the 43,3860 is the total savings, and so we'll save 50%.
Okay.
Good question.
And Bill, you had the cable services, is that largely like cable internet, for the connectivity? What was the, I think it was a slide after this.
The wireline?
The wireline, yeah. And I bring it up only so far as literally we're having fiber that was just pumped into our neighborhood this summer.
Sure.
To move away from the traditional coaxial cable services, if you will. Just to see is any of that service available, a fiber service to any of the buildings that might be unique to geography as well.
Sure.
I'm asking because I get my whole new fiber service set up every week.
Another great question. A little bit outside my line. What I believe to be true is that this is largely phones and classrooms. Yep.
Okay.
But I can bring that up. Whenever I bring ideas, they're always yeah, send it over to us and we'll consult to it. So I'm glad you brought that up. I'll make sure I ask.
Does that impact the E-rate from the federal?
Yeah, that's the other part of it is we do collect E-rate revenue or E-rate money, and I don't know how that would impact that if we were to renegotiate rates, so we'd have to fold all that in.
Yeah, that's a good question too. Because telecom is even moving more to it's virtual phone services. That's outside of my sphere of knowledge as well. But I would just be curious because it seems like wireline services are changing as we speak.
I will ask that. That's a really good question. I'll ask that.
Reminder, Bill, is the school Mitchell fees or whatever, their findings, those are one-time fees that we pay for this year. We don't pay each year the savings we have on T-Mobile.
Over the 48 months.
Oh, it's over.
Yep, over the 48 months. Yep, 50% over 48.
Tim's trying to blow all the savings in fiber optics right now.
It's just crazy fast. I mean, come on. The IT guys in the room have to win every now and then, right? I was just curious.
It's not that I didn't know this before, but when you were thanking your team, it made me think, number one, say thank you to you again. This is a different undertaking, and it really struck me that I don't think a lot of people get to work with the director of finance who goes, hey, we've got this idea, we'd like to bring Schoolie Mitchell in and have them take a look at all the work we're doing. And I don't know if I'm pulling for more cost savings, because it'd be great to save money, or fewer, but to be willing and be open to doing that, having that kind of analysis, I think it's just incredibly healthy. And so credit not only to your team, but to you for bringing it forward. So thank you again, Bill.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Okay.
But you're staying put.
I'll stay put, yeah.
You're next again. Next is another information item, item 10.2, a budget update, and Bill Benazzi will present.
Yes, thank you. On the screen, we will see our general fund budget update now as of January 31st, 2025. So reflected on the sheet, you will see highlighted in, I don't know what color is that, towards the middle. Tan?
That's just
Orange, okay, all right. Again, numbers first and not colors.
Looks like peach.
That is the revised budget that the school board approved last month in January. So we were tracking on the adopted budget. We have transitioned now to the revised budget after school board approval. You can see overall on the revenue side, we have collected 47.98% of our budget compared to 46.76% last year and 43.52% in the second prior year. On the expenditure side, we have spent 50.39% compared to 49.4% and 50.23% in the second prior year. Under the fund balances category, I do still expect the district to end this year as of June 30, 2025 with an unassigned fund balance of $12,698,882, which is good for 10% unassigned general fund balance, right in the middle of our fund balance range approved by the school board in policy. At this point, I see from a percentage standpoint, I don't see any material variances from budget at this point, but obviously this from now till we get to the end of the year is really when these buckets fill up. And so we'll continue to track that and make sure that we update you monthly if there's any variances from budget. So that's this year's budget. We did get a chance to just very quickly at the Finance and Facilities Committee look at our long-range financial planning model to include some assumptions for next year as well. That's by no means finished, it's very much in draft form, but we are transitioning from the monthly budget update to looking at sort of a longer range forecast to include that next year as well. Any questions on the monthly budget update?
I just have, and I asked this before, so the federal revenue of $2.4 million that we received, $269,000. You just go in and pull that at certain points?
Yes, and if we looked at this report now as at the end of February, that number is much, much larger now. So it's based on draws. So we go in and draw that down through the State Department. I go in and log into the Minnesota Department of Education. It's through a software program called MEGS. Don't ask me what the acronym stands for, but we log in through that and draw those funds down. And we did a fairly large draw for both title programming and for federal special ed in February.
Is there any reason why you do it certain times of the year instead of, it's July 2nd, it's the second day of the fiscal year, let's just pull it all? Is there rules?
Yeah, it's based off of actual expenses. So you can't, if your allocation's $2 million, you can't go in and draw all that down before you spend it. So you have to spend it first and then go and draw it based off of what we have in Skyworks. And then I tend to draw more later in the year because at the beginning of the year it's fairly fluid in terms of coding and personnel and things of that nature. So I kind of wait until it's a little bit more fixed. So when I'm drawing things, then having to walk that back later on.
One more question. The local fees with the interest were only a few $100,000 behind the budget for the year. We have 5 months left. It would be almost safe to assume that we'll finish that as well, correct?
I think that's a safe assumption, yes. Now, I'll give one caveat. Part of the variance under local fees this year compared to last year and the second prior year is it's an accounting function of where I'm coding that interest revenue. So I code interest revenue all in the general fund throughout the year. Now, the majority of the interest revenue ends up in the general fund, but based off the cash balances and food service, community ed, and our ISF fund, I do allocate that interest. So it'll go down a little bit, but like you said, with 5 months remaining, I do expect that budget to be over, or actual to be over budget.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Next, our agenda, 2 action items. Item 11.1 is the softball scoreboard project, and Dr. Redmond will present.
Yeah, this is kind of a different presentation. We were approached a while ago from the Softball Association, and obviously in conjunction with Ed Zemet and Matt Hansen. We're talking about the 2 fields over near West Middle School, part of the Neil Johnson softball complex. They're the 2 closest. The northeast and northwest fields are called the upper fields. They're fairly near the swimming entrance, if you will, kind of get that location in your mind. But we've been approached, and I think it's a great idea to accept this donation, which hasn't been made yet, but the Shakopee Girls Softball Association wants to buy 2 scoreboards, one's for each of those fields. And the idea would be they would still install it the spring of 25 here. School district, our part of this agreement is to take care of the installation, and by that primarily running electric to the site of those 2 boards. And we're estimating that costs somewhere in the range of $5,000. And then, as we've done with many other scoreboards in the district, we then also have the ability to do advertising on the scoreboards to recoup that revenue. And at some point, 12, 15 years down the road, once you've had a scoreboard on a property, most likely the expectation will be we would replace it. And then we had, people kind of were talking about other scoreboards, probably should have left everything on the bottom of this off, but sometimes people go, well, where do we have scoreboards over there? And we've got one on the east and central fields. But really, what we're talking about is approval for an offer from the Girls Softball Association by 2 new scoreboards. Total cost of what they'd be purchasing, about $25,230. We run the electric, get things installed this spring, set it up for advertising revenue. And happy to answer questions, but certainly would recommend approval of that.
Yeah, and Dr. Evans, in terms of the revenue for the advertising fees, is any of that expected to be shared back to the Girls Softball Association?
No, and I actually double and triple confirm that.
And it's a wonderful organization. I have the thankless role of being coach dad. I have 10 players that listen really well and one that not so much. But I, certainly have some history, great legacy, a lot of really great athletes have gone through their program. But super generous for them to make that donation. So.
Yeah, we've got great youth associations and partners of that nature all across our community doing just amazing things for kids.
That's one other question. Do we have, and maybe Tiffany, this is a question for you, as we're installing scoreboards on our properties, regardless of where it's at, do we have any consistency from a brand perspective of the expectation of what these should look like, or when there's a donation, they can do whatever they want?
If I can respond to that. We've worked with Matt Hansen and his team to set some standards and actually pull together a branding guide. The most recent was a board that went in West Middle School to have the swimming stats that are on there, and there's some stuff that went there. So going forward, yes, he's doing a good job of collaborating on that. I can say things in the past are kind of a hodgepodge, but he's recognized that, and we've come up with a style guide so that we can have the same vendor also do that.
Yeah, I think that, as a former president 21 years ago of the Girls Softball Association, that beats me. I think this is outstanding that they're able to do that. I know that they raise a lot of funds with their Father's Day tournament that they have here in town in June. So I think this is an awesome opportunity and full support.
And while you were asking and Tiffany was answering, I was scrolling down on my computer to look at the 2 scoreboards below, which kind of case in point. Yeah, it's not the end of the world, but it's nice if we have a level of consistency in branding, and certainly Tiffany and Amber doing just a phenomenal job of helping us to develop greater consistency. And even I love, I got pointed out during Justine's presentation, having that Sabre logo there and doing those things. So that doesn't just happen automatically.
And technology changes over time too. Yep. Those boards probably have been in place for 20 years. Those fields are, they're aging. They're still in awesome shape, but they've been there a long time, so.
Do we know how long the scoreboard's life is?
Having dealt with this in another district and a little bit here, it's an amazing thing, scoreboard, just the technology. The boards themselves have a capacity to last sometimes, as much as, say 15, 20 years. What is now happening, and I've said it tongue in cheek, but not totally in jest, you should almost buy every replaceable component part when you buy a board, because what is happening is the manufacturing continues to advance much more rapidly, and you will invariably have some tech component in the thing that you have to run different elements on the board, and they don't make that component anymore. They've moved on. Your board is, 4 models out of date, and we actually have done some of that. Matt Hansen's pretty good, where you're trying to cobble together Ed Cement, but yeah, so the functionality now, other than, a key component part that's not made, is lasting longer than some of the components, so.
Further discussion? This is an action item, so.
I will make a motion to approve the scoreboard.
Second.
A motion by Aldrich and a second by Brophy. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then one final note, then I would expect, a donation on the consent agenda, probably March 24th, so.
Next on our agenda is another action item, 11.2, memorandum of understanding with Southwest Metro reunification site. And our assistant superintendent, Jim McCullough, will present.
Thank you, Chair Smith. As you all know, we've done a lot of work to establish our high school as a reunification site over the past 24 months. And when Southwest Metro called and asked if we had any advice for them as they tried to build one out, we said, why wouldn't we just use ours, given that they were looking at using the Shakopee Community Center. So essentially, this MOU would grant them access in a time of crisis to use our field house to reunify their students. And agreeing to this would have the next steps start to take place, which involves Kenny Christensen working with their safety and security coordinator, who's named Jeff Trick, and just making sure that Southwest Metro has all the pieces that they need to make our site operational for them. So ideally, this MOU would never be used. And at the same time, by supporting it, save Southwest Metro a great deal of time and effort.
Just like, a comment and then a question. I think it speaks volumes to the incredible work that has taken place with Shakopee to even have that framework in place, and then to be able to share that with Southwest. I mean, it's the right thing to do. In terms of some of those next steps, again, hopefully never have to execute. The complexity of transportation and all those things, working out those details. And then what that would look like in terms of just communication to make sure that that space at the high school became, immediately available. Is that part of that planning you're talking about, Christian?
Large parts of that would be Southwest Metro's responsibility, the transportation coordination, et cetera. They would work with Canon to bring a team over to inspect the site and do whatever drills that they needed to do and make sure that they were ready with the components that were specific to them. As for communication, again, that would be something where, when we worked on the reunification plan, we worked closely with Scott County, the Sheriff's Department, those folks. They would also be involved in the same reunification planning with Southwest Metro. So all the pieces are there. It's just a matter of, it's mostly Southwest Metro making sure that they had the details specific to their portion of the plan in place. But this will save them 95% of the work.
Yeah, I think this is a great idea.
I'll make a motion to approve the MOU for Southwest Metro to use our field house as a reunification.
Second. Motion by Peterson, and second by Johnson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Jim. Next on our agenda is information item 12.1, district update with Dr. Redmond.
Yeah, a very brief update this evening. Education Forward is out. Thank you, Tiffany and Amber. This is one of these opportunities, Knowledge Works. It ultimately resulted in a really nice article shared. There's a link there, but they took an interest in us, in our school district, and in particular, the Academies of Shakopee came out and spent some time in our community, and they're very much focused on high quality, individualized and personalized learning. And so it's always nice when folks outside, not us, take an interest, come in, take a look at what we're doing, and go, wow, this really stacks up well. And they have a national, viewpoint of this. So just thought it was worth mentioning again. And there's a link to a really nice article, and a credit to all the people who've done just and continue to do just amazing work with the Academies of Shakopee and creating better, real life, authentic, genuine learning experiences for our students.
That was in the wrap, I want to say a week ago?
Yeah, at least, yeah.
2 weeks, I'm doing it from memory, but the article is worth a read if you haven't gotten a chance.
Yeah, and if you can't find it or need it, holler. Happy to send that again. Another neat event, again, is we're working on our comprehensive literacy framework, and really we've got some folks doing the training and getting things going. We were invited, and by we, wasn't me, it was Sarah Peterson, our literacy coordinator, to come in and talk about that experience and where we are on that path, and as we begin to move towards full implementation of our comprehensive literacy framework, and definitely meet all the components and expectation of the READ Act. Sarah did just a fantastic job. I was able to see the video and just represented our district incredibly well at the Capitol on a pretty big stage. So. And then just always try to kind of update on things. Our systemic structures monthly meeting. This last one was at Cherney, so I'm just across the street working on continuing with things, student attendance and staffing, and continuing to learn and grow together. And then we had our monthly district, instructional leadership meeting was last week over at Sunpat. And then we continue to do this where the different teams from the leadership teams, cabinet members teams, like human resources, finance, where they go out and visit one building per month. And way of developing relationships. And again, it's how do you support where the action's really taking place, which is in our classrooms, and how do you support the teachers and paras and folks in the buildings. And I think the more connected we are with that work and the better we understand it, I think the better we serve the rest of our district. And then, this pales in comparison to Andy Brown's presentation, but we just kind of wanted to end with, again, just some really, really cool things. And it really is, when I listen to Andy talk, we've got that catchphrase, an activity for every student and every student in an activity. But it's pretty neat, going on, 7 years now to see where we were and where we are, and just to see the energy and the positivity. And there are so many great things just going on, throughout our entire district, and appreciate the board's support in that. And then I thought this, collage here, just a nice way of capturing some of that energy and cool things going on. And it is always a great day to be sitting. That's that.
Thank you, Dr. Edmond. Next on our agenda is item 13, committee reports and other information. And why don't we start with Nick?
Yeah, well, we had the Facilities and Finance Committee before this, and got a little deep into the weeds on a few items and topics there. I did last week listen to Sarah Peterson's testimony at the Capitol, and I think she was one of the first ones to lead out all the schools there, so she did a great job. And hopefully that committee is listening to those folks and helps us with some of those changes. And met with Senator Pratt last Thursday in a meet and greet, just because I had never met him, and I thought it get some school-based questions out of them, but we didn't get, the audience there was, did more of the hot topics than that at the time, so nothing else, made a connection for future. That's about it.
Caroline?
No real reports. I mean, we had a community engagement February 3rd, we touched on 10th, and then personnel was on the 10th of February. And then this Saturday, I'm going to officer training in St. Cloud, so meet in St. Cloud.
Christy?
A few things, just to touch base back on Southwest Metro. We held a board strategic planning session on Saturday from 8 to 3:30. And morning was really focused on the needs assessments that had been conducted with Dr. Horton being new in his first 100-day assessment, and what opportunities or areas where we need to make some improvements. And then in the afternoon, we had some parents and other community members that came and attended and provided some feedback on a portrait of a graduate. I thought it was fantastic. It's probably one of the best educational strategic planning sessions that I've been part of. We had a site facilitator that came in and helped us kind of through that process. And then at the end of our next board meeting, March, I think it's 18th, we will go into an additional 3 hours, I think, worth of the next steps and preparing what that strategic plan is. And part of what we discussed was about facilities and safety and security. For those of you that are not aware, Southwest Metro covers all the way north to Buffalo, all the way down south to Waseca. So we have a very large school district geographic area, and looking at all of our facilities and improvements that are needed. And obviously Jeff was there and talked about the reunification piece as well that was needed for the district. So a lot of good information. You kind of had your head swimming after you were there all day, but in the end it was something that we needed. And more information will probably be coming to the board as decisions are made on everything related to Southwest Metro, since we're a member district and would have to support any changes that might need to be made. Few reminders from MSBA. We have Day at the Capitol coming on March 10th. So if you want to go, the deadline is approaching for registration, so please make sure that you get registered. Let Tiffany know and she will get you registered. Phase 3 and 4 of training will be offered in person April 11th and 12th. It's a Friday, kind of middle of the afternoon into the evening, and then again on Saturday. They're both at the same location in St. Cloud. So if you have not completed phase 3 and 4, this would be a great time to do that. And St. Cloud isn't too terribly far away. And then I just want to remind everybody too that on the MSBA website, after you log in, there are dashboards that are listed with all of the bills, education bills that are going through the Capitol. And then also there is now a federal dashboard as well that provides updates on any of the federal changes that are happening. So if you are interested in learning more about those, that is available to you. And then just one last thing that Dr. Redmond alluded to, we have an exciting week ahead of us with sports, with state wrestling team on Thursday, and then boys hockey is Thursday night for section finals for an opportunity to go to state. And then we also have basketball playoffs that are starting. So if you have not had a chance to watch some exciting Sabre athletics, this will be your opportunity. And then Saturday we have individual championships for those wrestlers that advance from an individual. And I think we have 10 individuals that have qualified for the state tournament and 2 girls. So exciting times. And then I'll be an officer training too on Saturday.
Thank you, Christy. Yeah, the finance and facilities meeting tonight. I'll be traveling up to Treasure Island on Thursday for the Tribal Nation Education Committee consultation. Dr. Redmond and Justine and Nika will be presenting for that. And then officer training this Saturday as well.
Yeah, we have finance and facilities, and, you know, we started looking at the 25, 26 budget, which is just boggles the mind that ends in like 16 months. It's like, all right, and I know what it's like to start a budget 4 months in advance and just trying to get everything lined up. It's crazy to do that, and budgeting is tough, so, good for them. And most of the stuff we covered at the meeting we went over today, and I will also be in St. Cloud on Saturday for officer training.
Yeah, no news out of my committees, although I did get to sub for Christie at the Southwest Metro Board meeting last week. So it's interesting to learn more about what they do and what's going on, issues they're facing, and they also fed me, which you all know is my favorite.
I know, I missed it. Culinary students cooked that night.
Oh, wow. If you want to be sick in April, they have an outdoor pizza oven. The team is going to cook pizzas for that meeting, so.
You can also go, right?
I think as an alternate, you should just show up.
Everybody will show up. Everybody can show up,
You're out of
just get vote.
So, yeah, that's it for me.
Tim?
I am going to attend the Pearson Advisory Council meeting in just a couple weeks away, so on that
Back to Shania?
Nothing much with me and Michelle. We connected with Good Trouble, and that was initiated by Tiffany. And they are working on some data collecting software, or they have a data collecting platform that they want to try. They want to try piloting at Shakopee High School, where they will get authentic, qualitative feedback from the student body, so not just like statistics, but like actual feedback that we can actively reference to. And the purpose of getting all of that feedback from the surveys with the Shakopee student body is we can then use it for policy action. We could present it to our board and say that this is a common concern among the student body. How could we go from there? How could we act on it? So we're still in a lot of primary discussions with the Good Trouble team and how we can actually act on it. But that's on Good Trouble. Otherwise, speed season is truly ramping up. We're hosting Shakopee at Shakopee this weekend, which is super exciting. And then 9 top national tournaments, everybody's trying to get their bids to qualify. And then History Day, the regional contest is second week of March. I believe it's either March 1 or March 13th. It's in my head. But we have a bunch of middle schoolers this year that are trying it out, so that is very thrilling. I've been being the superintendent, I've been really trying to push the program forward. So it's exciting to see everybody come together and prepare their projects this year.
And Mr. Brown is not wrong, he just talks about how entertaining speech is. You've never been to a speech meet before? I was at the state tournament last year here in Shakopee and was blown away by just the talent in those rooms. And it was just truly an amazing experience. So if you get an opportunity to attend, you'll be just amazed.
Yeah, there are just so many categories out there, like from so many different like fields of speaking. Like there's extent speaking, which Mr. Brown talked about, which is like talking about current events. My category is discussion, which is kind of like a competitive Socratic seminar. So you have 6 people on a table and you're competing against each other. You get a task and on a current events topic, you have 5 minutes of research, and then it's 1 talk minutes. But then they're like super funny and entertaining categories like dual interpretation. So lots of things to look at.
I mean, some of the kids literally get like a topic they draw, and then they have like 30 minutes to prepare, and then they give their presentation of, what is it, 5 minutes?
7 minutes speech. Yeah, that's exciting.
I was just like, wow, that was just, and they're not like easy topics, they're like in depth, like international politics or things of current events, yes, so.
Is there any more details about that speech event this weekend? Is that in Andy's, it says it's.
Do you know the time?
The tournament itself runs almost all day, but if you guys are interested in what would you guys be interested in, just leave the
Something to agenda, who's subject to this meeting. Or is it all happening kind of simultaneously?
It's all happening simultaneously, so for the speech tournaments work is you have 3 rounds throughout the day and then you have a final round. But all the categories compete in each round. So you guys can, if you're interested, I can connect you guys with Justin or Teresa Coach. You can help coordinate some viewing.
Yeah. And will you know, like, on Friday, what time slot you have, or is that presented to you on Saturday, so you know what time and where?
I mean, the schedule is pretty set. You have 3 rounds, and everybody competes in those 3 rounds. And then you qualify, depending on how you did throughout the day, to the final round, and you get to compete.
Okay, just because if somebody wanted to go, then they would know what classroom to go to in the high school to find a Shakopee student.
Right.
They wanted to support the Shakopee.
Yeah, I'll have to get back on that. I will find out and reach out to somebody.
Thank you, Shania. Michelle?
Minor things along with Shania, we've been working again with Good Trouble on their exciting initiative, and Shania already did a great job explaining that. More on my end, as you know, Coach Nurse is coming up, but the lesser known event is BSU's Black Excellence Awareness or Black Excellence Celebration Month event, which is this Wednesday, and so all the different affinity clubs are all coming together and making sure to help volunteer and support that event, which should be held on Wednesday. There's gonna be lots of good food and performances. Unfortunately, it is student only this year because of, I think it is said something about, I don't remember, but I'll be definitely looking forward to going to that. And as well, Culture Fest is like 3 weeks away, which means that, I mean, obviously takes a very big role in planning and helping out with Culture Fest. So we've been kind of full of things to do with that. And other than that, band competition, so we have large group competition coming up as well. So, and other than that, I have nothing really else.
Jim?
I think, as was said before, I think so many great events going on right now. We also have girls basketball, the section tournament Wednesday. Boys basketball is 1 win away from a conference title, 2 games left. And Dr. Edmund and I will be sampling and creating the ProStart team's state tournament food on Friday morning before school starts and providing them with feedback. So, you know, looking forward to, you know, dinner for breakfast. It'll go down well.
Did Chad come?
All we do is stay
First of all, that's called Brenner. Someone needs to give a memo.
Thank you, Jim. Tiffany?
Just a couple quick items. We're definitely in that planning mode. We, you know, in communications, you never live in the present. We have to look forward to, and the Welcome Center is doing a lot of great things with the Reed Mobile and the Scott County partnership that we have, and enrollment. Believe it or not, this is a pretty hectic time for enrollment for the next school year. So we're balancing between the two, and we still have those coming for this school year. Kindergarten when it comes to roundup and planning, and then we'll just tease it a little bit, but LT&E and other groups were coming together to have a district-wide literacy event. That would be at the end of May, and really excited to share, put some branding around that. And then we'll be holding later this week the Shakopee Chamber Board. It's our first meeting with some of our new members that wasn't part of the January bigger event that was held at Canterbury. So excited. We have representatives from our representative Mary Hernandez from Mikasa. We also have hotel representation, and Raul Remberg from Valley Fair, who leads that as our new chair. So I'm very excited to incorporate what we do in our district in that meeting.
I just had all the talk about Southwest Metro. It triggered that our March systemic structures meeting, the host is Southwest Metro. So bringing our leadership team over and our building principals. And again, I think it's maybe even easier to see kind of the why behind that, getting to know people we work with and know. Most of our folks in that group have never actually been in the Dean Lake site, and so we'll get a nice introduction kind of presentation from Dr. Horton, and then we have an optional tour at the end of that meeting, which is kind of fun and cool. I'm looking forward to doing that. So.
I don't think you're gonna get it.
Nope, no meals.
All right, thank you, Dr. Redmond. Next on our agenda is item 14, the upcoming meetings and important dates. Anything worth bringing attention to that we haven't already discussed? No? All right. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Second. So motion by Peterson, second by Brophy. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting